Coffee, Dr. Pepper. Coffee, Dr. Pepper. You can't hear it, but there is actually Dr. Pepper still in there. At the same time. That's a typical morning for me because I need double caffeine dosage in order to function. Hi, how are y'all today? It is May 18th and it is still gloomy out there. By the way, welcome to my office. This is actually where I work. I have a desk. I have the front desk because that's the front door. So, yeah. And the boss is gone for now. Otherwise, he'd probably be freaking out. Why do you have that electronic gizmo out? And, yeah. It's been a very quiet morning so far. Well, it's only 8:30, and we just opened. Even though I get here at 8. I'm like the first person to get here, but that's because most of the time I commute with my dad, who works at the college in this town. So of course they're gone for the week. I told you that yesterday. Because they're gone, I drive myself, but I still get here at 8, just for consistency's sake. So I figured today I might tell y'all about that car wreck I mentioned, because oh boy, that was a thing. This was back in September. I was driving to my prior job at the grocery store, and it's an hour commute from where I live now. It was in the same town where I went to college, but it was it's an hour commute, or 40 minutes ish. But there's it's mostly a lot of 2-lane highway, and they had done a lot of construction to make it to make passing lanes. So that was a lot of what had happened. They completed the passing lanes, but they hadn't put up the signs yet saying whenever the lanes went back down to 2. And so I was driving, going a little over the speed limit like I usually do. I was going the speed limit was 75, I was probably going like 77 or so. And there was a semi in front of me. And I was in a part where there was, I had a passing lane. And so, I was catching up to the truck, because trucks normally go like, it's between 65 and 70 usually. I think the guy was going probably about 70. So I was catching up on him. And then he slows down and he drifts into the passing lane. And he was kind of straddling the 2 lanes from what I could see. He didn't have any turn signals on, at least not that I remember. He probably turned it on later, but long story there, I did not see a blinker. So he was straddling the lanes, and so since the last direction I saw him go was left, logically I thought, oh, he's preparing to turn left. So I stayed in the right lane from my point of view, because trucks are long, and I kept going. And then I didn't notice it when I was driving, but at the point where we were, that's when the passing lane ended. Like I said, there were no signs up or anything, so I didn't even notice that was where there was no more passing lane, and I was suddenly on the shoulder. And the guy actually turned out to be turning right. So, yeah, he hit my bumper, ripped my bumper straight off, and I flew off to the ditch that was on the right side. I braked and turned the wheel and tried to avoid dangerous things. I think I did. I didn't actually have control of the car, so I slammed right into a utility pole. And then apparently after that, I did a complete 180 thereabout, or a complete 360, because I hit the pole going that way, and then I spun around and I was facing the right way, like several feet away from the pole that I hit. So it was nutty, and all I saw was this big old utility pole coming straight for me, and I'm like, ah! I didn't even really have time to react. I was just like, what is going on? And so the car settled down, the airbags had gone off, and all this madness. And somehow I was lucky to escape pretty much completely unscathed. Like, I must have some kind of guardian angel or something, is what most people think. So, because all I got out with was, I don't know if you can even see it, I have a few faint scars on my elbow. And that's all I got out with. So it was actually pretty miraculous. So I stumbled out of the car. I didn't even know what to think. I left my keys in the ignition and, stumbled around. Didn't know even what to think. Like, the first thought that came to me was, oh, we might have to trade insurance. So I went back into the car and got out my insurance card. And then suddenly that's when, passers-by were noticing what had happened. They were all coming over, are you okay? Are you okay? Sit down. Wait, the ambulance is coming. I'm just like, wait, what? What's going on? Ambulance, huh? Because I was pretty out of it. I was, kind of in shock and not knowing what to think, because this was my first incident, first even major wreck. So, yeah, it was lovely. So I got an ambulance ride, and I was all bruised up and stuff, and sat around in the ER. Actually, I wasn't even in a room. They left me in a bed in the hall because apparently the hospital was like overstuffed in their ER. So I just kind of settled on the bed, and while I had been waiting for the ambulance to come, of course I called work and let them know that I wasn't coming in because I had destroyed my car and nearly died. So that of course they were just like, oh, okay, don't worry, we'll get someone to replace you, and oh, I'm so sorry, and all that stuff. And then I called my dad and said, hey Dad, I was in a wreck. And so he was like, okay, are you alright? And I was like, yeah, an ambulance is coming. So, I don't even remember what all I said. And he tried to call my mom, but he accidentally called me back at first. And so he claims he wasn't feeling terribly emotional, but, there was something going on in that head of his. So he may deny it, but there was some sort of emotion in there. And then, so he called my mom, and then at that point, the ambulance came for me, and what was going on in my head at the time to keep me from, going completely insane was I was listing where my things were. I kept checking for my phone in one pocket, how many pens I had, because I always carried at least 2-3 pens to work with me every day. I made sure I still had my name tag and my badge that was, my supervisor badge, because I had gotten a promotion. And, made sure I had my wallet. And then whenever I noticed I didn't have my keys, I would always tell myself, my keys are in the car. I kept repeating that to myself over and over again. It's like, I have my phone, I have my pens, I have my wallet, my keys are in the car. I kept telling myself that over and over again. It was kind of nutty. And so after that, I'd been in the ER, and, I was kind of still telling myself all that, keeping myself sane. And then my mother shows up, and I just kind of break down crying. I'm just like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wreck the car. Because, I'm still not worried about myself. I don't know why. I wasn't just like, I'm not in terrible pain. My elbow kind of hurts, but, I'm not in too much pain, so I don't think anything's wrong with me. But I destroyed the car. Crap. I don't have a car anymore. Well, I had my car. I'd been driving my dad's old car because that was remarkably more reliable than my old car. And yeah, so I destroyed it, and so I felt really, really bad about that. It's like, I destroyed the car, and our insurance rates are going to go up, and all this stuff is happening. I was feeling pretty terrible about my stupid mistake. And, of course at the time they were all just like, oh, it's okay. Don't worry, it was an accident. Everyone kept telling me that, and I was like, I'm still so stupid. Of course, it's like I said, I didn't see a blinker or anything, so, I didn't know what to think. I was going 77, you don't have time to think when someone slows down in front of you and is straddling the lanes. It's a split-second decision, and I made the wrong decision. But, insurance still said I was at fault, so, okay. Anyway, that happened, and all this happened, it was a Tuesday, and that Saturday was my sister's wedding. So that was a pretty crazy week, and I got to go to the wedding. I was one of the bridesmaids, and I had bruises all over my arm, and thankfully I didn't have too much else. After a few hours after the wreck, I noticed that I had hit my face. Not terribly hard, but it was kind of swollen, but it didn't bruise the next day. It was fine. So that didn't bruise, and I didn't have much of a seatbelt bruise or anything. I wasn't even overly terribly sore. I was kind of sore the next day, but I wasn't terribly sore. So all I had was a bunch of scrapes and things on my elbow, for scrapes and bruises all over my arm for the wedding. So that was okay. That was preferable to what could have happened. And funny story, the best man in the wedding, he had several months earlier been in a car wreck himself. He had fallen asleep behind the wheel and fallen off a bridge, an overpass, and he had broken his leg in several places. So yeah, there was quite a wedding party. So yeah, that was my wreck, and that's what happened to me. So yeah, I almost died, but I didn't, so that was good. And now I'm here at this job, living life, attempting to get back into the swing of things with my YouTube career, which isn't much of a career because, I don't get terribly many views, but that might change. You never know. Spread the word. I have a channel, and if you like it, hit the like button and let people know. I hate doing that. I hate advertising myself, because I hate doing anything for myself. It always makes me feel bad. So anyway, I guess if y'all have ever been in a terrible bad wreck, comment on it. Let me know what happened to you and how bad it was, and if you survived, and were you at fault, all those little details. And then just be thankful you're alive. I'm very much thankful to be alive now, and to be watching my brother get married in a few months here. It's going to be amazing, and I am so glad I'm around for it. So anyway, I guess that's all I have for today. So thank you all so much for watching. Never cease to be amazing, and bye for now.